Hi everyone, I'm Christina, aka Yarn Yogi, and I made this tutorial to walk you through how to make this spa facial, what you use when you wash your face, not really sure what you call these, headband. My niece actually asked me if I could crochet these for a slumber party that she's having for her birthday, and I've actually been wanting to make them. I think they're super cute, and yeah, I typically make sleep masks if you don't know that. So you can check out the rest of my channel. I have some sleep mask tutorials. I also have links below to some of my patterns. But yeah, I'm excited to walk you through this and I hope you enjoy making it. And I always forget to say this, but please subscribe to my channel if you like this tutorial. It means a lot to me. And also, if you want to check out my Etsy shop, I have a code below for anyone that comes from YouTube to get a discount on any of my patterns. So if you like this and if you are interested in making sleep masks or anything else, like I said, check out my rest of my tutorials because I have a lot of things that will walk you through that process, but I also have some patterns and things you can check out there. For this pattern, you're going to need some sort of chenille velvet type yarn. I make a lot of my sleep masks using Premier Parfait Chunky. I use Premier for a lot of things that I make. I also made this headband using Premier Bloom Chenille, which is also like really pretty and a really pretty pattern for this type of project. I also make sleep masks with this. But you'll need about 43 yards. One skein of this will get you 3 of these headbands almost perfectly. You also need scissors, a tapestry needle, a G hook, and an F hook. And you will also need elastic cord. So I'm putting a link to this below. I buy the whole spool because I make a lot of sleep masks and a lot of headbands. So I use it a lot, but they do sell smaller packages. I think that they're like maybe 5-yard packages, and that's plenty for this project. You're really only going to need about 3 feet. But it's always good to have, you know, a little extra, but like 3 feet should give you more than enough for what you're gonna need. And I think that's it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to work on is the full band of this headband. So that starts with our G hook and your yarn, and you just get your yarn on a hook, and you're going to chain 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then you're going to, in the 3rd chain from your hook, you're going to double crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which really gives you pretty much like 6 posts because your first 2 chains are that first one, and then you do 5. So you're really just going to keep doing that. Chain 2 at the end of each row, and then you are going to, instead of going into the chain or the stitch in this case, you're going to go between posts. So, double crochet between the posts. So 1, double crochet, go between the 2 posts. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll do that one more time. So chain 2 at the end of every row, turn, and go right into that first space between the 2 with a double crochet. Double crochet across, right between every post. Okay. So you can see what that starts to look like. You're going to do 36 rows of this, and then I'll show you what we do after that. Okay, so once you complete your 36 rows, you're going to cut off a little tail. You can do about, actually maybe a little bit longer than a little. You could do about 18 inches, I would say, to 2 feet. That might be too much, but you'll see later. We're gonna actually use it for something else that we're going to do. So leave that tail, and then I always just like to secure a knot of some sort, kind of pull this all the way through and tighten it. Okay, now you're going to line up your 2 ends, make sure that it's flat. There's nothing worse than doing this and then realizing like it was twisted or something like that, and you've now secured it together. So you're going to line up your 2 ends like this, and you're pretty much just going to, you could use a tapestry needle if you want here. I actually prefer to just kind of use my hook, but pretty much like sew it essentially. So sticking that through kind of the first set of stitches, oops, sorry. And then I go into the second, right through, pull that through. So I'm not really doing any kind of crochet stitches, I'm just using my hook. And then I go into the third on this one, pull it through, pretty much just keep going back and forth. This is the fourth, back in, and then fifth, and the last. Okay, and then once you get to the end, you can, this is your tail that you started with. You can tie this in a knot, and it's okay if you tighten it a little bit. Oops. We'll kind of squeeze it together a little bit. This is where we're going to put our bow, so it's okay for that to happen. And then just double knot it. If you watch any of my tutorials, I say this every time. I always double knot everything, so yeah, I just always like everything to be secure. You know, an extra, even a third knot doesn't hurt. Okay, so now you have that part done, and we're going to move on to the part that is like the bow next. So for this part, you're going to use an F hook, and you're going to, same thing, get it set up on your hook. And then you're going to chain 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay, so now that you have 40, you're going to, same thing we did before. You're, well, not completely the same, but you go 3 third chain from your hook, but this time we're going to single crochet. So 1, 2, and you're going to single crochet all the way across, and you should have 38 stitches. Okay, this is 38. Okay, so now I've single crocheted all the way across for 38 stitches, and I'm just going to chain 1, and then single crochet. I go right into the first stitch again and go all the way across again for 38. And you're going to do this so that you have a total of 5 rows. So this was our first row, this is our second, 3, 4, 5. And I'll be back when you're done with that. Okay, so once you have your 5 rows of 38 stitches, you're going to fold it in half. Don't fasten it off once you have it. fold it in half, and then we are going to just single crochet all the way around. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I like to do 2 in this corner, and then in the other corners I actually do 3, but then you just go through kind of each stitch and single crochet around first this part to join it together, and then like I said, I like to do 3 in the corners, and then you keep going all the way around like so, and I will show you what to do when we get to the end here. When we get to this end, you basically just keep going, but I'll just show you what it looks like so you know. Okay, so then once you get to the corner here, this side's a little different because it's obviously already together. You're not kind of seaming it like you are on all the other sides, but I just go into this first spot, do 3, just treat it like another corner, and then just go ahead and each one of these stitches, same thing basically, as you did before, and again into this corner, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and then continue on until you get back to the first corner where we started. Now we're getting back to that end. Okay, I just do that final one because like I said, each corner has 3, so we started with 2 there, so we just do the final one, and then you can cut a small, do not need a lot here, small tail, and I just like to fasten it through, tie a knot, and then because this is completely seamed, you can literally just weave all of your ends. It's the other thing I always say in my tutorials. I make a lot of things that are either seamed or like stuffed, and it's my favorite because it's like the easiest way to deal with ends. So, okay. Let's weave that one in. Oops. I don't really know why I did that position. Okay, that was terrible. I'm doing it so far away. Okay, here we go. There we go. Get that in there. There we go. And then if you come out the other end, you can always just trim. Okay, so there's that. Now you have the part for your bow. Okay, so go ahead and bring back your headband. This is when we'll use the long tail. And we're going to kind of find the center of this, pinch it, and then we're going to tie a knot just like that. Pull it. You might want to make sure you have kind of like where you want this to be in the middle. Okay. Again, always do a double knot unless you like to live life on the edge. Okay, and then I go ahead and tuck in the short one now. Okay. And then this long one, you can just use to wrap around a lot of times. Kind of, it's really a preference at this point, how many times you want to go around. I at least do like, sorry, got stuck. I at least do 5 or 6 just to give it some weight on it. Now once you feel like that's pretty good and where you want it, I'm gonna come around it one more time, and then turn it over. I like to tie the knot in the back. So you kind of hold it tight, and then I like to put my hook underneath this and pull this through a loop, and then pull this through and make sure it's as tight as you want it, and then you just go ahead and tighten that. And of course, I always just knot it somewhere else. Right here on the side, extra knot. Okay. And there you have it. There's your bow on your headband, like so. Now the next part we'll do is the elastic. Okay, so for the elastic, you're going to flip over your your headband, and you're going to cut about a piece about, let's say, 4 feet. Okay, now I take this elastic and I tie it on, usually through a couple of stitches, and I just tie a knot. I like to get as close as I can to the wraparound and the bow, because it's a great place to kind of tuck in your end. Here. Okay, so I knot that, and then I tie this end onto my tapestry needle. Okay, so once you have your elastic on your tapestry needle, you're going to try to get it over to the edge here, going through your stitches, trying to not let it be seen as best as possible, just to get it over to the edge, and then I'll show you how we do this as we go through. Okay, so I like to come up through here. Okay. All right. So then you're going to take your tapestry needle, and we're pretty much going to work in the second post on every single row, which kind of goes like back and forth. So you don't want to do it on the edge, but you kind of do it within these second posts. So this is the edge, then you have this next post. And the way you want to do this to get it really hidden in there is to just try to get your needle like really so it's going kind of through your stitch, and I'll show you on the other side. Sometimes it will peek out, and when that happens, you know, I like to, if that has to happen, I like that it happens on the inside because that's the part that's going to be on your head, and you won't really see it. But I like to try to hide my elastic as much as possible. If you use something like a chenille, of course this is white, so white elastic is obviously going to hide better, but the chenille is actually a little thicker than the Parfait Chunky. Parfait Chunky, they just came out with a, oh my gosh, it's like a little chunkier than this. I can't think of what it's called, but I'll put the link to that below as well. That is going to maybe work a little bit better. I don't have any of that, and I like the Parfait Chunky, the regular one. So anyway, so you're gonna just kind of try to get, I do a couple stitches at a time if I can. You don't want to do too many because you want to make sure you're kind of hiding it. Of course, this gets tangled around there. Okay, so if you flip it over, you'll see, well, that's where we are right now. You know, you see the elastic coming through. Now, I don't always love that, so okay. Sorry, I ran out of storage on my phone. But anyway, I was saying that I was showing a little elastic and I don't always love that. So I like to try to go back through if I can and get in there a little bit better. And hopefully now I'm on the back side. And then remember, we're staying into the second post in. So not this far one, but this one. Just try to go in between. And let's see how we look on the other side. And when you pull the elastic tight to get this stretchy, like it will bunch up. So like don't go crazy over trying to hide it. Like you can see there in a little bit, but like that's not as big of a deal. You just want to avoid like doing very big stretches where you see the elastic. Okay, so then you keep just going from this all the way around until you get to the other end, and I will show you what to do when we get back there. But yeah, we're gonna basically go, oops. Okay. Yeah, so you're gonna go all the way around till you get back here, and then don't tie off because we actually just kind of transfer over and we go back around on the other side. So but wait till we get there because I have to show you, we do tighten it and tie a knot first, then we kind of transfer it over, but we do not cut off the elastic. Okay, so when you get back around, you're gonna just kind of try to get your elastic through to where you started. And then, like I said, you're going to not tie off, but not fasten off and like cut your elastic, but you are going to tie a knot. But before we do that, you're going to want to start pulling this so that you start to get some stretch. And you might need to like it's gonna kind of stretch on the one side first, so you kind of have to play with it. See, you might want to like stretch it more than you need to, and then you can kind of unstretch it. But you're basically going to want to get it to the point where when you're holding the elastic, it's at a point where it's stretchy, and then when you straighten it, it pretty much gets all the way straight. You can also like hold it and try to put it on your head and see if it fits. And then once you have that, you can just tie a knot. With this one, it's kind of hard because you want to try to hold it tight and do that. Again, double knot as always. Okay. And not until I have my double knot do I really like to pull from the other side. Okay. And there you have one side is stretchy. So you have this hanging off here. Now we're going to take this and we're going to work it to the other side. So to do that, okay, so to get it across, pretty much, so this is the side that's stretchy and we're trying to get to that side. So you're going to put your needle through and kind of just travel the elastic to now the second post inside from the inside. So I'm just gonna get that to a point. Hopefully take a look and see. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to work along this whole edge. I prefer to work from the top because like right now we're underneath, we're on the underside of this part. I like to just push this back through and work from the top because that's the part that you're going to see the most. So like I said, I try to hide the elastic on both sides, but in my opinion, it's more important that we hide it on this part here. So now that my elastic is back through and I'm right side up, this is the top, you can see. Well, I feel like I got a little twisted. Give me a second. Okay, yeah. So this is the top and the elastic is right here. We're going to just work our way around again, going through the second stitch in second stitch in from the side. So we're going to do this. Okay. And then we just continue working around on that second stitch in from this side until we get to the other side, and you're going to tighten it the same way and tie a knot, and then we'll tuck in the strings. Okay. So now I've made it all the way around. I'm going to come back through here right by my other elastic and going to pull it to try to get it to the same point as my other side. So again, I pull it kind of further than I want and then I loosen it up. And I think when you get to the point again where like you can stretch it and most of this is straightened out, then you have a pretty good elastic. You don't want it to obviously be too tight. Like this is not something that needs to be super, super secure on your head. And you actually don't want it to be very tight. So I think I did a bad job kind of coming in here. So I'm just going to fix that and hold where I am. When you do tighten the elastic, it doesn't just like kind of spring away, which is nice. So you don't have to like hold too tight. You obviously don't want to like pull this when you're doing that, but and then again I tie a knot and then I usually tie a second one before I pull too tight, because if you pull too tight on that first one, it's going to really tighten your mask. I mean, sorry, your band. Keep saying that. Okay. Now I'm just going to work on pulling the strings and everything in. We can now go ahead and cut our elastic. Our tails. And then I like to try to get them into this part if I can, because like I said before, that's kind of like hollow in there. So I come through, I try to come through. Tapestry needle also will work well for this, or a smaller hook, which I'm not doing either of those things, but try to pull that through as best as you can. If you don't like the way this kind of looks, you can also wrap more of your string around, or cut a new one even and wrap it and then tuck it in the same way we did before. Or maybe you just did a better job of hiding that than I did this time. But yeah, so I come through here and pull this through, pull this guy through. Yeah, tapestry needle is probably going to work much better for this. But I'm being lazy, even though I have it pretty much right here. And now I'm just going to have this last one in here. Okay. And I messed that up because it went through. All right, get that. I don't want that sticking out of there at all. Oh, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then you can just go ahead and cut these and make sure they're tucked in. Oops, cut this one. I think everything is now tucked in. And here you have your spa headband. So I hope you like making this. As I said, please subscribe and check out my other links and everything below. Thanks so much for watching.